In this video, we will look at economic growth. Economic growth is measured by taking GDP of this period minus GDP of the previous period divided by GDP of the previous period times 100. Economic growth is therefore the annual increase in the total production or income in the economy. It is important to note that we want economic growth in real terms because it should not include price changes. We are interested in production and not price changes. It should be on a per capita basis, which means it should be divided by the entire population. However, there are problems of using GDP for production measures. First is non-market production. For example, the work done by a housewife. Should this be included or excluded from GDP? Unrecorded activity, for example, the informal sector or illegal activity. There's also the problem that data is continuously revised by Stats SA and the Reserve Bank, which changes the economic growth. And GDP also does not look at economic welfare, for example, education, health outcomes, or employment. There are alternatives to GDP, like the Human Development Index developed by the United Nations. There's also social mobility tables by the World Economic Forum, and you should also think about the environmentally sustainability of the economic growth. Finally, I would just like to point to the differences between economic growth and economic development. Economic development is a much broader concept than economic growth. There are 7 key differences between economic growth and economic development. This infographic explains it. Economic development is a broad concept. Economic growth is a narrow concept. Economic development is multidimensional and includes aspects of living standards, while economic growth only focuses on national income. Economic development is a long-term process, while economic growth is a short-term yearly process. Economic development includes both quantitative and qualitative measures, while economic growth only involves increases in GDP. Economic development is more related to the underdeveloped and developing regions of the world, while economic growth relates to all countries in the world. Economic development has qualitative and quantitative aspects like the improvement in life expectancy, infant mortality, literacy rates, and decrease in mortality rates, while economic growth only looks at GDP per capita. And economic development is a continuous process, while economic growth is attained in a certain period. This infographic was obtained from edukba.com.